Administration is bringing the full resources of the Department of Justice to investigate and prosecute those responsible for the violence that ensued yesterday in Charlottesville, and we will hold them to account.
The White House also releasing a new statement on the president last night, saying he condemns all forms of violence, bigotry, and hatred, and of course that includes white supremacists, KKK, neo-Nazi, and all extremist groups. He called for national unity and bringing all Americans together. Joining us now is Virginia Congressman Tom Garrett. Congressman, you represent the district that I grew up in, that my family still lives in. Your reaction to President Trump's response and the kind of follow-on response from the administration?
Well, look, I mean, what happened was a horrible tragedy. I don't write speeches for the president, and I was I think 3:15 the day that it happened, I said that this gentleman did what he did intentionally. He's a terrorist on TV, on this network. We need to address this as it is, which is an act of terrorism on American soil by a bigoted extremist, and condemn it as such. However, let's look at what the president did say, and that is that we should unite as a nation, that we should, in a perfect world, love our neighbors, but in an American world, at the very least, respect our neighbors. What I wish we would see is people not trying to make political hay out of this, but condemning it for exactly what it is and saying it's antithetical to who we are as a people. The tragic irony that it occurred just miles from where the man who penned the words, "All men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights," that's just amazing and really symbolic of how dangerous this sort of hate-filled rhetoric is as it relates to who we are as a country.
So, Congressman, you don't think that you don't see the need in the president actually verbally calling out the groups who are responsible?
No, I absolutely think he should, and I think he finally did. But there's a young lady dead. 2 Virginia State police troopers died as a tangential result of this bigoted stupidity, and the president didn't get the speech right. I mean, okay. But let's condemn the act and not get down in the weeds. There are 3 human lives that have been cut short because of hate-filled monsters who don't understand that Dr. King was spot on correct when he said we should judge a person based on the content of their character and not the color of their skin. So I'm not going to descend into the political fray, because that only makes this worse. What we need to do is focus on what we have in common and not what separates us. That's what we started to do as a nation when we instituted the ballot access for women, when we saw Jim Crow slowly and painfully torn down, when we saw civil rights movement, when we saw a great American leader like Dr. King take a bullet because he believed in peaceful protest and change. So, yeah, okay, the president should have done a better job.
Well,
but
Congressman,
let's focus on the stuff that he got right and try to come together.
Well, Congressman, what about you coming together with other members of the political leadership in just the state of Virginia? You being on the other side of the aisle from the mayor of Charlottesville and certainly the governor of Virginia, what can you gentlemen do together to send that united message?
Well, out of respect for the governor, I won't hold up my phone and show you the text messages that we've had going back and forth this weekend. But I can tell you that I've told him that I'll do anything I can do.
Tell me those text messages. What have you 2 been saying to one another?
Essentially, I reached out to the governor early on and said, please let me know if there's anything I can do. And then we exchanged discourse on just how disgusting and vile those who would perpetrate this sort of act are. And I said I would be delighted to stand next to you anywhere and speak in condemnation of those who would do this sort of thing to the citizens of Virginia or America. I have commended both the governor and the mayor. And so I don't know what else I could do, but I think we need to focus on what's wrong here with America, not what's wrong with a couple of series of speeches. I'm not saying that they were exactly as they should have been. I'm not defending them. I'm simply saying that that's wasted energy when we have a crisis that is literally, I think, existential in nature as it relates to who we're supposed to be.
Well,
who we're supposed to be as a people, why we're supposed to be different than the rest of the world.
Did Governor McAuliffe then, did he say, okay, I would love to stand shoulder to shoulder with you? What was his response to that?
He said he would be in touch. I said, please do. That's a quote.
Okay, so your constituents and the people of Virginia can wait for that. I want to bring Lee Carter in here. Lee, do you have a question for the congressman?
Yeah, Congressman, I agree with you that we need to focus on more substantive issues. Can you tell me what is the mood right now? What is the focus? How do we move forward from here? Because it seems like this is now becoming, this is the state of America. And the crisis is so real on social media. The way people feel right now is this is now systemic. Can you tell us what it's really like on the street down there?
Oh, yeah, it's surreal. I mean, you got to, and Dagan, you get it. You got to come to Charlottesville, Virginia. You got to visit Monticello. You need to walk the grounds at the University of Virginia and the downtown mall and understand that as a community, there's a diversity of views, but it's a peaceful, loving community by and large. And when I sat last night and saw Charlottesville terror scrolled across my screen, I looked at my wife and said, it's surreal. And there's a little bit of disbelief. There's some shame from people who probably shouldn't be the ones feeling it. That it happened here, that it was able to happen here, that there are enough people who feel that way to gather and create a critical mass. I mean, I guess relative to 323 million Americans, it was a small number. I didn't believe that there were that many people who were that hate-filled and bigoted to gather in a crowd that size. And I think a lot of people in this community feel that way.
Congressman, really quickly before we go, the Justice Department, of course, led by Attorney General Jeff Sessions, launching a federal civil rights probe into the death of this woman. Do you want to see James Alex Fields Jr. charged at the federal level as well?
You know, I said this to another interviewer recently. I was a prosecutor for about 9 years,
right.
10 years. This should be an argument over what prison he dies in. I guarantee you that the Commonwealth's attorney here in Charlottesville, Virginia, can try this case well. If it goes federally, that's fine. But it really shouldn't matter as it relates to the end result. You know, I might have charged this as a first degree because I think when he turned that key and aimed that car at people, that was sufficient premeditation. But this should really just be an argument over what prison this guy dies in.
Congressman, thank you for being here. Congressman Tom Garrett, I'll be down in Charlottesville later this week, and our prayers are with everybody in that community, particularly the loved ones of Heather Heyer, who lost her life. Thank you, Congressman.
And the two troopers as well. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely.